Good evening and welcome to Connecting Point. I'm Jim Madigan. The farm-to-table movement simply means getting fresh seasonal ingredients from local growers. All this month, we'll bring you stories of farmers across our region whose produce is finding its way to the menus in many local restaurants. But we'll begin not with food, but rather drink. Specifically, locally distilled spirits like gin, vodka, and rum from Berkshire Mountain Distillers in Sheffield. They've been producing artisanal spirits there since 2007. Connecting Point producer Dave Fraser partnered with Angela Cardinale, founder of the nonprofit group Berkshire Farm and Table, to bring you their story.
I had a biochemistry background. I worked in medicine for a long time. I was sort of tired of burnt out, is the term. And I moved to Sheffield about 12 years ago and bought this farm that had this wonderful historic spring. And we also had 200 apple trees. And so I was ready for a change, and I had the apples to make a brandy and this wonderful spring water, and water is a cornerstone of all spirits. And so it was a great amalgamation of all these different things I like to do. I love food, I love growing stuff, I love working with my hands. And at the time, there were only 40 or so craft distillers registered. And so it seemed like a great time to jump in. And the Berkshires are a wonderful nursery for projects like this. There's so many great farmers, wonderful chefs, and it's integrated. And people they come here from the city, they want to see the farms, they want to know the name of the cow they're having for dinner and where it came from, and go look at the vegetables that they're going to eat. And it's great. There's this whole groundswell of artisanal products, whether it's charcuterie or bread or spirits or beer, and there are a few epicenters around the country, and I think the Berkshires is really one of those. We had the opportunity to get this great place in Sheffield, right on Route 7. The whole idea of this is that it's a teaching place as well, so people can come, get a grains to glass tour, learn how spirits are made, taste different spirits, and go poke around in the garden in the greenhouse and look at angelica growing, or some of the 200 juniper trees that we planted growing. And so it's been a wonderful spot to expose people to what we do. We mash in, we make a mash or a wash or whatever you want to use for terminology. And basically what we're trying to do is ferment a starch source or a sugar source. So the yeast comes in and they eat the sugars and they create carbon dioxide and alcohol, just like you would for a wine or a beer. But then after it's fermented and it's 8 to 10% alcohol by volume, so sort of a very strong beer or a weak wine, we put it in the still. And the still strips out the alcohol from the water. The alcohol boils off once it's heated before the water would, and then we recondense that alcohol and capture it as spirit. This is lemongrass. We source great ingredients. We try and use local stuff when we can, and if we can't buy local things, we make sure we're getting top quality stuff. We have 20 feet of lemongrass this year, and I think next year we'll do a few rows of it, and we'll grow more angelica and more wormwood and things that are really cocktail distilling centric. We're very attentive to details. We put a little bit of heart and soul in each bottle, and we wash it from grains to glass. For a small mom and pop thing, we get great press. Where Greylock was voted the #1 craft gin in the country by the New York Times. It's won multiple gold medals. Rum was double gold out in San Francisco. Been in the Journal multiple times, in the Times multiple times, in the Boston Globe multiple times, in myriad different national magazines. And we still frequently run into people that say, "Really? A distillery in Sheffield?" So there is that kind of component of this unawares that it's here. And my guess is that's somewhat ubiquitous across the country. So we try and promote the local bit. One of our slogans is think globally, drink locally. In the summer, we teamed up with Berkshire Farm and Table and about 20 local restaurants to really just do that, to promote craft cocktails and build awareness and have that integration between the front of the house, the bartenders and the wait staff, to be educated about what people are drinking and where it's coming from, because for years the focus, as you said, had been on the back of the house, in the kitchen, and the chef and the farmer. And so it's a talking point to bring to the front of the house and say, "Oh, did you know that this is made 3 miles down the road?"